Had the career. He was in Chicago. There's another musical for you. He has not had the late, and again, he's very rich, and this is his choice, the post-60s career that Pierce Brosnan has had. Two handsome men aging into which should be character parts. Richard Gere hasn't gotten that. We don't see a lot of Richard Gere anymore.
No, you're right.
We should. We should
I
see the Michael
Douglas,
because Richard Gere and Michael Douglas are sort of contemporaries.
I'd rather watch Richard Gere than like Tom Cruise or somebody. I'd rather see Richard Gere now.
They're not that far apart in age.
Okay,
Isn't
that's
that
fine,
interesting?
But they're two totally different people.
I think Tom Cruise is 60, right?
Ew, that's so old. No, I'm kidding.
Tom Cruise does not do romantic comedies since probably, I think we count Risky Business.
Yeah.
Top Gun is an action movie with a romance. Mm-hmm. Tom Cruise isn't necessarily the best leading man for that kind of stuff. You know, he's an action guy. Whatever you want to say about Tom Cruise's personal life is separate. Tom Cruise, other than Risky Business, has he done a romantic comedy?
I don't think so.
Do you consider Up in the Air to be a romantic comedy?
Okay, remind me of this one. Is
George
that
Clooney.
George Clooney and the girl? I remember an airport.
Anna Kendrick's is in it, but they're not together.
Right.
She's his sidekick.
Yes.
He has a romance, but it doesn't work out.
God, I don't remember that one. Vaguely.
That's another thing that I believe about George Clooney. George Clooney, by all accounts, see, Brad Pitt's too good looking. He's the opposite. Brad Pitt is too good looking to be in a romantic comedy. You could give him the worst job in the world. He's still Brad Pitt.
Hubba hubba.
George Clooney, handsome as he is regarded to be, can still play these characters where he has some flaws and stuff, where it doesn't always work out. He did that movie in Hawaii, The Descendants.
I would like to see more movies. I like those movies with Brad Pitt and George Clooney and Matt Damon. What are all those called? Those are my favorite movies that I want to see them in.
Ocean's movies.
Yes.
Yeah, those are not romantic comedies.
I know,
those
but I'm just saying if I want to watch
I'm going to bring that up. So George Clooney, generally regarded as a movie star, right?
Well, of course, yes.
He hasn't had $100 million movie, which is the sort of the barrier of success, unless you count Batman going back 30 years, or the Ocean's movies. Mm-hmm. So women like George Clooney. They like to watch George Clooney, but they only want to see him be George Clooney. He plays in these movies, and women don't go to see them. And maybe that's because there's not a lot of romance, because he rarely, you have to go back to probably Out of Sight with Jennifer Lopez before you say George Clooney was in a romantic comedy. He doesn't really do romantic comedies.
So it sounds like a lot of actors, when they get into the industry, they start with these rom-coms. Like going back to 500 Days of Summer and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He was in the movie in 1999, 10 Things I Hate About You.
And also because you're not making as much money off a rom-com, because two reasons. They don't always translate into foreign languages. The language thing, they don't. And so your box office is limited. Same reason on Broadway plays don't do as well as musicals. Foreigners who don't speak the language so well can watch a big splashy musical and have a good time. They can't necessarily do the same with a play.
So La La Land did well in all countries.
No. La La Land has a handful of songs in it, but it's mostly spoken word. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I don't think it does. It's a lot of the nuances in the language of it. I don't think La La Land did well internationally. But rom-coms are the same way. Rom-coms, there's a lot of one-liners, a lot of things that don't necessarily translate or get into subtitles. So you're limited on how much money they can pay you to be in one of these movies.
So what's like the dollar amount that makes a rom-com successful? Is it 100 million?
You know, we're in a different world now because now it's streaming and stuff like that. But traditionally, the benchmark of what makes is $100 million. So that's why if I read you the list of the most successful rom-coms in terms of box office, you were like shocked by Big Fat Greek Wedding. And some of these other ones, it's like, I don't even remember that movie.
How much did that one bring in? Do we know? Can we look that up?
Probably adjusted for inflation, like $400 million.
Wow.
Something like that. But like an Avengers movie makes billions.
Yeah.
So the reason why it's not necessarily that you don't want to do those movies anymore, is they can't pay you to do those movies anymore. And
it sounds like a lot of actors and actresses they get their start in them and then they
it's tough to get out of it. It's tough. It was tough for Sandra Bullock to get out of that. That's all she wanted to do. Everybody wanted to see her she finally had to put on a wig, and do other things. Julia Roberts had to be Erin Brockovich to get out of that.
Yeah.
Sandra Bullock had to be Blindside to get out of that. Like there's these transitional things. Like I'm not sure. I think Jennifer Lawrence like mostly skipped by that because she started Hunger Games and became such a big star. So you can count. She's sort of in David O. Russell's troupe of actors. So she did Silver Linings Playbook, but she's not doing a rom-com where it's like, oh God, we're working.
How do you feel about
Working Girl? Are you old enough to Working Girl and Broadcast News?
Heard of it?
Came within a year of each other. They're two of the best movies of all time. I think they're both also romantic comedies. It's Melanie Griffith back in the day, made her a giant star. Very rare does a Oscar nomination come out of a romantic comedy. That did for her. Harrison Ford was it was perfect timing, both their careers, whatever. They're not circling back.
When was that?
Working
The
Girl
80s?
too. That was like 89, 90.
Okay.
Same with Broadcast News.
I'll add it to my
Holly
list.
Hunter. They're not going back and doing that again. You know?
So how do you feel about like Twilight with Kristen Stewart, Robert Pattinson?
It's not funny.
Hated them.
Well, I don't know. It's not. That's sort of supernatural shit.
Stupid.
I like Hunger Games. It's fine. Like when all the shit goes down, it's fine.
Okay, so wait. So let's go back.
My point is, men also get a lot of their romantic guidance from rom-coms.
That's why you should go on a date with a woman and get her feedback from this movie.
I think you should.
And she's
I
giving
think
you
there's
the
a lot of things to
playlist.
discuss. So that's why, like, if he liked the breakup, or he says they should have been back together, that's a red flag. It should be for her, like, no, that behavior is never acceptable. He's an asshole.
Okay, so let's do this. If you just start dating a woman and there's 3 rom-coms that you feel that a new couple should watch, because then it gets the ball going of how you'll deal with relationship issues. 500 Days of Summer, it sounds like for you. Yeah?
I think people should watch 500. I'm not even sure it qualifies, but I don't know. I don't know if you necessarily in an early part of dating need to go back and watch Sleepless in Seattle together. Like, I don't know. They're kind of, some of the stuff might seem weird. It's like, what is that? It's called a payphone. Like, it might be out of touch. I'm not sure an early date should ever go to a movie because you're not talking to each other.
Yeah.
So I think it's a bad date idea.
But again,
anyway.
you get to I don't know.
But I think you
hold
learn
hands.
a lot from somebody if you ask them, give me a rom-com that you like, because everybody's seen them, and you give me, what did you give me? The one you like the best?
My favorite.
How to Lose a Guy in 10
13
Days?
going on 30. But that's like a girl's movie.
Give me your second favorite.
I don't know. You're putting me on the spot.
Well,
I feel like
can't
The Breakup is a good classic, and then The
Breakup
Notebook. But
is
these
a
aren't
horrific
rom-coms,
movie. Right? So The Notebook is not a rom-com.
But The Notebook, I would say within the first month of dating a guy, we're gonna watch The Notebook. It's just gonna happen because I want to see how he's gonna react. Is he gonna fall asleep?
And I'm
Is
going
he
to
gonna
say,
cry, which
we're
would
gonna
also
watch
be weird?
La La Land. And we'll get from that. All right, this was fun. We covered a lot of ground. You're not quite done here yet. This is your first time on the Great Love Debate.
Thank you for having me.
We play something called Worst Date or First Date. So I know you're happily married now, but you have to give us either the worst date you ever went on or the single greatest first date you ever had. I don't care what happened in the relationship. So a great first date that you went on once, doesn't have to be your husband, or a really terrible worst date. Your choice.
Okay, putting me on the spot. The only thing I can only think of bad dates. I would say my worst date. I was in beauty school. This guy came in, requested me for a haircut, which was very weird because I had never seen him before. Cut his hair. He ended up asking me out on a date in the middle of this haircut. I got super nervous because I was 17, 18. Put the wrong clipper thing on my clippers and buzzed a hole into the back of his head, and then told my instructor, oh my God, I have to go out with this guy. Like, please don't tell him. So I think we went to an Applebee's, but and again, I'm 17, 18. He tells me about all the people that he slept with on this first date. It was just, I don't remember what actually happened, but it was just a very weird conversation. I felt really uncomfortable. And by the end of the date, I told him, I'm like, by the way, you're an asshole, and I put a big hole in the back of your head. He had no idea.
It?
That was it. I don't know, but
that's not a good date. Yeah, that's
that
bad.
It wasn't a good date for him. But I don't really have any crazy.
No, that's not good. I let a girlfriend cut my hair once, and she did the back, and she tried to blame me. She's like, "You have a bald spot back there."
It's all your fault.
I'm like, "There's no way I have a bald spot." She's like, "You have never seen back there because you can't. I discovered it." even while she screwed up my hair.
That's a good one. I should have used that. But it sounds like, based on this, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, you still would have been like, it's okay. I'm not mad at you.
I was.
Things happen. Let's make love.
Yeah. Yes, let's make love. I don't think they use that term in rom-coms. All right, tell everybody how they can find your podcast.
You can find me on Instagram at the one with all the 90s, or wherever you listen to your podcast. It's called at what is it called?
The one
with all the 90s. It's been a long day already. Catch me there. We talk about everything 90s, and we totally geek out, and I'd love to have you.
Okay. As far as us, as always, like, share, follow, and please review this podcast. Not just this, but Katie's too. Your reviews mean a lot in the podcasting ecosystem. Shoot us an email, greatlovedebate@gmail.com, with your rom-com thoughts, follow-ups, and you're going to say, I can't believe you forgot to talk about this movie, which we probably did. We forgot about it. Check out our live tour schedule. Live. We've got shows coming up October 7th, the Boca Black Box Center for the Arts in Boca Raton, Florida, City Winery in Boston, and on and on and on. Because, as always, at the Great Love Debate, we never stop making love. See you next time.